The sun had barely risen over the quiet little town of Riverton when 16-year-old Arav Malik stepped out of his house, his school bag slung over one shoulder and a packet of his mother's homemade sandwiches tucked into the side pocket. The day was just beginning, but Arav's mind was already racing, thinking, planning, dreaming. He dreamed often, but he wished more than he worked. For most of his life, Arav had believed that success came to talented people. People who were naturally gifted, people who were born lucky. He admired them from a distance, wondering why life had not handed him that same spark. He dreamed of becoming a top student, respected and admired, but his grades told another story. He wanted to shine, but he feared the effort it would take to get there. Yet things were about to change. Chapter 1. The Harsh Wake-Up Call. Arav's school was holding its annual academic awards function, and the excitement in the air was electric. Banners hung across the hall. Students buzzed with anticipation. Arav sat with his classmates, hoping somehow that his name would be called for excellence in science. He knew he hadn't earned it, but a tiny part of him hoped luck might intervene. It didn't. When the teacher announced the award winner, the hall erupted with applause. The trophy went to Manav, a quiet boy who sat 3 benches ahead of Arav. Manav wasn't flashy. He wasn't the loudest or the most liked, but he was focused, disciplined, consistent. As Manav walked to the stage, Arav noticed something unusual. Not pride, not arrogance, but relief. It was the relief of someone who had worked for months, someone who knew he deserved the applause. Arav felt a sting of envy, then shame. After the ceremony, he overheard 2 teachers talking. "Manav works harder than any student I know," one said. "Yes," the other replied. "Success always comes to those who are willing to work for it, not just wish for it." Those words sank deep into Arav's heart. For the first time, he wondered if he had been wishing too much and working too little. Chapter 2. A Beginning in the Dark. That night, Arav sat at his desk, staring at his textbooks. His room was quiet except for the soft hum of the ceiling fan. His mind replayed the teacher's conversation again and again. What if success really did require effort? What if talent wasn't everything? What if I could change? He opened his science textbook and tried to study, but within minutes, frustration hit him like a wave. The formulas felt impossible. The concepts were confusing. His head throbbed. He slammed the book shut. "This is too hard," he muttered. He wanted results, but not the struggle, not the discomfort, not the discipline. He went to bed angry at himself, but something shifted inside him that night. The feeling didn't fade. It grew stronger. Chapter 3. The Mentor. A week later, after school, Arav noticed Manav sitting under a neem tree near the playground, reading a thick science reference book. Curiosity nudged him forward. "Hey, Manav." Manav looked up. "Oh, hey, Arav. What's up?" Arav hesitated. His voice cracked slightly. I wanted to ask something. How do you study like this? I mean, how do you stay motivated?" Manav closed his book, looking thoughtful. "I'm not always motivated, but I'm consistent. That's the difference." Arav frowned. "I don't understand." Manav smiled gently. "Let me explain. When you plant a seed, does it grow overnight? Of course not," Arav replied. "Exactly," Manav said. "So why do we expect success to come instantly? You water the seed every day, even when you don't see results. One day it breaks the soil, not because of that one day's watering, but because of all the days before it." Arav exhaled slowly. "So I need to water my seed every day, every single day," Manav said, "even when it feels like nothing is happening." That conversation marked the beginning of something new, a mentor, a guide, a direction, and for the first time, a spark of genuine determination. Chapter 4. The First Steps. Arav began waking up an hour earlier to study. The first few days were excruciating. His eyes burned with sleep. His mind wandered. Every page felt heavy, but he kept going. He made a study plan with Manav's help. Small, achievable goals. Not perfection, not miracles, just progress. Every night he revised what he had learned in the morning. Every week he tested himself. Slowly, something unexpected happened. Science started making sense. Then math felt less intimidating. Then English essays flowed more smoothly. The tiny seed inside him was beginning to grow. Chapter 5. The Struggle No One Sees. But success never comes without struggle. There were nights when Arav felt exhausted after school, yet he forced himself to open his books. Sometimes he cried out of frustration. Sometimes he doubted himself. His friends noticed he wasn't hanging out as much. "You're wasting your youth, bro," one said. "You're not top student material," another teased. But Arav no longer listened. He wasn't working for their approval. He was working for his future. Of course, there were failures too. A test where he scored lower than expected. A concept that took days to understand. understand, moments when he felt like giving up, but each time he remembered the quote that had started it all. Success always comes to those who are willing to work for it, not just wish for it. And he pushed on. When teachers asked questions in class, Arav's hand went up. When homework was assigned, he completed it with confidence. When tests were returned, his scores climbed steadily. People began to notice. Arav, you're improving so much. You seem more focused lately. Wow, good job. But what they didn't see were the countless hours behind the scenes, the early mornings, the late nights, the discipline, the sacrifices. Arav felt proud but humbled. He was no longer comparing himself to others. He was comparing himself only to the person he used to be. Chapter 7. The final examination. The final exams approached, more important than any test Arav had ever taken. These exams would determine his academic ranking and scholarship eligibility. As he entered the examination hall, his heart pounded. Students shuffled in nervously. Papers were distributed. Pens clicked. Arav closed his eyes for a moment. You've worked for this, he told himself. Not wished. Worked. You deserve to succeed. The questions were challenging, but he tackled them calmly. He wrote with clarity and confidence. For once, fear didn't control him. Preparation did. When he walked out of the hall, he didn't know if he had topped the exam, but he knew he had given everything he had, and that was enough. Chapter 8. The moment of truth. Results day arrived like a storm. Students crowded around the notice board, scanning the list anxiously. Arav pushed through the crowd, his palms sweating. His eyes darted across the sheet, row after row, name after name. Then he found it. Rank 2, Arav Malik. He froze. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Then it hit him. He had done it. Not through luck, not through wishes, through hard, relentless, consistent work. The corridor blurred as tears welled in his eyes. Behind him, he heard clapping. Manav stood there, smiling proudly. I knew you could do it, he said. Arav wiped his eyes, laughing. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Manav replied. Your work said it for you. Chapter 9. The speech that inspired many. At the year-end function, the principal invited Arav on stage to share a few words about his journey. His hands shook slightly as he approached the microphone. Hundreds of eyes watched him. He took a deep breath and began. Earlier this year, I used to wish for success. I envied those who were doing better than me. I thought talent was everything, but I was wrong. Success didn't come to me until I worked for it. Really worked, every day, even when it was hard, even when I didn't feel like it. I learned that wishing is easy, but working is what changes your life. He paused, letting the silence settle. And I also learned that the person you become through hard work is far more important than any rank or trophy. The hall erupted with applause. Arav stepped back, his heart full. Chapter 10. The sunrise of a new life. Years passed. Arav continued the habits that transformed his life. He became a top student throughout high school, then earned a scholarship to a prestigious university. His passion for learning grew stronger each year. One morning, as an adult, he stood on the balcony of his apartment, watching the sunrise. He smiled at the golden horizon. He remembered the boy who used to wish, and the young man who chose to work. He whispered the quote that had shaped his destiny. Success always comes to those who are willing to work for it, not just wish for it. He knew it was true, because he had lived it.